Well, g'day and welcome to Bull Banter, the only podcast focused on the Macarthur Bulls, the A-League and all things football. I'm joined as always by my co-host Daniel Sims. And Daniel, mate, there were some bloody ripper games this weekend, wasn't there?
Yeah, great time to be an Australian football fan. Better time to be a Bulls fan, I think, because
Absolutely.
we're finally seeing some good football out there, aren't we?
Yeah, the boys are stroking it around, putting it together. It's really good to see them sort of get out of the funk that they had coming out of the COVID lockdown and the delay of the season. They're back hitting their stride, and tell you someone who's hitting their stride, bloody Tommy Orr in the midfield, isn't he?
He's just banging them in, isn't he? And we're seeing some absolutely liquid football out there, no pun intended, for the current weather situation in New South Wales. And, but yeah, the bomb squad is, I think, the tagline for Tommy Orr.
Absolutely. You know what? We'll go through it in more detail. I think first we're going to look at our midweek game against Perth in Launceston, of all places.
Lovely Launceston, they call it.
We didn't, to be fair, we called out a few weeks ago on the podcast when people were supposed to be going down to Launceston and no one reached out. So we have no idea about the canteen situation there.
Yeah, we're going to have to put some calls in about the canteen situation. But yeah. I did see one bloke went, and I think he was the only Macarthur fan there. And, you know, good on him. He gets a Lockie Rose jersey.
Yeah.
After the game.
Oh,
game worn.
Mate, those are hard to come by. They're like hen's teeth.
Shane Warne's cousin, game worn.
You're shocking.
We have the Perth game. And, you know, we're playing decent football again. You know, kind of just got over the line in the end with that red card. 1-0 win. Devere doing the business for us yet again.
I think it was a well-managed match. Milicic didn't travel due to illness. Jolic, you know, he looks at every part of a future coach for us. You know, ordering the boys around, getting them organised. They all seem to listen to him and respect him. But it was just one of those midweek fixtures where you looked at, you'd put a circle around it and go, oh, that's going to be like a tricky one, a real physical match, a bit of a wrestle. And it turned out to be a bit dire. And, you know, even though we were stroking the ball around well, we were controlling the match. It was Perth who probably had the more chances, but we were able to come away with 3 points. Devere pouncing on Aaron Calver's
great back heel,
unintentional. I think he was trying to clear it and he's stepped on it. But yeah, he's gotten in there. And then, like, I want to talk about the composure of the finish because he absolutely laid this defender down. Like, he could have pulled the trigger and, you know, a less experienced player might have scored, sure. But just the finesse of, no, I'm going to take this one more touch.
Yeah, and just a little hesitation, a little nod of the head just sends him to the floor. Yeah,
and like completely takes the keeper and the defender out of the equation. He can just pass it into the net. And, you know, that's the kind of quality you get with Ulysses Devere. So we're glad to have him back and firing. He looks like he's really come into his own. He had an absolute cracking match against Adelaide. He's followed that up with a goal. And he's been the main provider. I mean, when we look at the Newcastle match, you know, he was the one who was really pulling the strings in the midfield. He didn't get quite through the 90 minutes, but he was, you know, doing everything to get the ball forward and to put us into attacking positions.
Yeah, since we've come back from that little break we had, you know, he got injured early in the season and was finding his feet in his first few games before that injury, but now it looks like he's really come into his own and playing at that level that we expect from him.
Also, we have to talk about Suznia. So you called it that he's looking for a holiday, and
he got one.
He might have booked a little weekend getaway somewhere because he's got himself a week off. So he's missed the Newcastle match due to suspension. And to be honest, like, what did you make of the second yellow decision?
I mean, he was flying in all day. As soon as Sturridge got subbed on, like Sturridge's first touch, Suznia just flies in
Welcome to the A-League.
Welcome to the A-League. But it was always coming. Like,
yeah, he gets a bit like that. Hey, he's just a competitor, and you know, it's unfortunate. He could have maybe, if he just was a bit more thoughtful about it, maybe avoided the second yellow. But at the same time, it was a silly foul to give away. Jordan Much, players going, you know, like hemmed in on the sideline, can go nowhere except turn around, and Jordan Much is just on his back pushing him. Refs called a foul, and then instead of Much stepping in to stop it, it's Suznia stepping up and trying to delay the play, and you know, player kicks it into him, and it's an obvious yellow. like yellow every single day of the week. I don't know if he forgot that he was on a yellow from earlier, but he just gets that, I guess, competitiveness, and he wants to make sure the team's got an advantage. But
fire.
He's stuffed it up, and he's out for that next game against Newcastle, where we desperately missed him, I think, in the heart of defence. But also that last 15 minutes, it took a lot of effort for the boys to really hang on. Perth hit the post. They were offside. They were close a couple times.
Sturridge misses
the sitter of all sitters.
Sitter of all sitters. He's the most one-footed player in the world, and he takes it on his right foot.
It was almost shades of Torres at Chelsea. It was wow.
Always the Liverpool ones missing open goals, it seems.
Yeah, if you're not running into the cop, then you can't perform under the pressure of the four spectators that were there in Launceston. No.
And, world of difference for Sturridge, going from stadiums to Tasmania. That's got to affect the mental. You got to think about that.
Yeah, he's not a worldwide player, is he?
No.
But no, he absolutely missed this sitter. I could not believe it watching it at home. I just think this is definitely where Perth equalise, and maybe they go on and threaten us with a loss. But yeah, he just did not have his shooting boots on. And then minutes later, I don't know if it was out of shame or an actual injury, but he's pulled up lame and said, "Get me off."
Yep.
I just don't think he was mentally there, and maybe that told in his body as well. He was not ready to play.
No. The pressure has to build up because he's been out for a while, hasn't he? And then he comes back. I feel like
they're paying all this money for him.
Just rushed him, and he is fragile, so he's going to get injured easily.
I mean, if you're from a Perth Glory perspective, yeah, you want him in the side every week, trying to, get some goal scoring form, start to play with the other players, and actually influence the team, because he's quality on his day, right? But wouldn't you just wait and hold him off until you're actually back in Perth? I'm pretty sure the next 3 matches Perth have are home games now, because they're able to go back. But now Perth fans are not going to see Sturridge unless he's suddenly recovering from this groin strain.
And you could say it's down to a lack of options they have, but they've got
Keogh, Fornaroli. They could have played striker.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's enough of the Perth podcast. Some other things quickly from the game. I think De Silva was already injured before that game.
That's right.
And then now McGing has picked up an injury, and he was doing really well at right back for us. He was working well with Noon, always, getting those inverted underlapping runs that just frees up the space for Noon. And I think we missed that as well against Newcastle.
Oh, for sure. You noticed we had to shift back to a slightly different style of play, because we couldn't rely on, James Meredith to get up and down the wing. He's getting on in the years a little bit. He can't be doing it for 90 minutes. I think he came off again after 60. And who was our right back on the weekend?
Liam Rose.
Yeah. So he's filling in there from a midfield role. And tell you what, he defensively does his job very well.
Yeah. He's more defensive minded, so he's not going to overextend himself.
Yeah, particularly when Ante's probably going there, just going, look, defense first, and then we think about attack later. Let the other players, the attacking players like De Vea, advance the ball. But we did miss that, sort of instinctive right back overlapping or underlapping run, just to put that extra pressure on, to take the pressure off of Craig Noon to get those balls in. And I think, as you saw, even though both teams were played, it was a ripper of a game, first of all.
Yeah. Back
and forth all match, you couldn't pick it. Both teams were playing well, but we really could have maybe asserted ourselves a bit more with the chances that we did have if we had those other options there. You put a De Silva in that side, you put McGing at full fitness in that side, and I think we come away with 3 points.
Yeah, 100%.
And Sush now too.
Yeah. Well, his replacement did get on the score sheet, but we'll get into that. But yeah, having those left and right backs that can assist our wingers, so many times we saw it again, at the start of the season, where Noon would get the ball out wide and cut in, and he has the 2 guys on him.
Yeah.
And there's not those support runs there. It just doesn't allow Noon to shine as brightly as he can, which he has been able to in the past few games, because he's had those plethora of runs around him, whether it's the VR, Gianu, or a fullback going in underneath.
Yeah, he's a quality player, but he needs those players around him to take the attention away, because otherwise, opposition defenses will just put 2 on him and shut down his supply, because he's the one who's more than most getting the ball into the box for us and setting up those scoring opportunities. I mean, you saw it with Tommy Orr's goal. Wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for a bit of Craig Noon magic dribbling dribbling through two, mind you, setting up Torre for the strike.
He got a little bit lucky, but that's the measure of the man.
That's right. You make your own luck when you take him on like that. So yeah, bit of a interesting match, interesting watch. The one up at Newcastle, we had initially Tommy Uzcock setting us up nicely with a header off a Craig Noon cross from the corner. Pretty standard stuff. Uzcock in the box. You always think he's going to get on the end of it. I mean, he's scored a few now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's his third, maybe.
Yeah, I think he scored one. Wanderers earlier in the season against Western United at home to equalise after Lockie's screamer. And then
did he score against Wellington in the opener?
No, that was Lockie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Uzcock, absolute threat in the box. Like, he's a man mountain. No one's marking him. No one's getting to the ball before him. He's so strong. So actually, like, surprisingly quick as well. And, with the way Ivan Jolic, who's our, assistant coach, he's the one who does all the set piece work with them. He set them up really nicely. Like, we look threatening. We look like we're going to score almost every time there's a corner or a free kick around the opposition box.
I think we have the most goals scored off of set pieces this season. So
yeah, and it doesn't surprise me.
Certainly working, and if we can, make the game plan more towards winning fouls and corners in those dangerous areas, then it creates our luck, because Newcastle were all over us. But when we get in those threatening situations like the corners and the free kicks, we can create a goal out of nothing, like Burnley-esque.
That's our play style, to be honest. Like, we've got these types of players, De Villa, De Silva, even Mambwa and Orr are smart enough to win a foul when they need to, and then that sets us up nicely for the delivery of a De Silva or a Noon into the box. When we get our tall timber up there, Mariappa's scored a few. Uzcock, we got Janu who can do the job in the air.
I think we surely have to have the tallest backline in the league.
Yeah.
Like, easily.
100%. So that seems to be the game plan. When the crosses aren't working, win the fouls and make the crosses happen anyway. Seems to be the go. And, we know we've talked about De Villa before being able to just pull a foul out of anywhere, no matter what the situation is. So
it's like he's playing with a whistle in his hand, the way he wins it.
Exactly. So we've got our crosses that we were sort of known for last season, that we've diversified a bit. We've got the overlapping runs. We've got the midfield work now with De Villa. So there's a lot of attacking options, actually.
We've got people that can actually cross now.
100%.
So
yeah,
it's looking good.
The only thing I would want is maybe a bit more of involving Janu in the build-up, having him drop off his defender, drop it back to a midfielder, and then he can make the looping run in, or Lockie can get on the end of things.
Yeah.
Or
I did see Lockie was receiving the ball in positions where you'd prefer Janu to be receiving it, because Lockie is much more effective. He can be out wide or run in behind and have the ball in space, like one-on-one. But when he's trying to back into a player and drop in to receive, and like sometimes
he's easy pickings for a defender at times.
He's not going to hold his ground as well as Janu can. So like there's those few situations where maybe we create another chance if Lockie's not in that.
It's all about personnel in positions, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's fine if they're interchanging, but
maybe it's just
Lockie doesn't do it for me there. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I get you. Maybe it's down to work rate. Like, maybe Janu's short of a gallop, or maybe Lockie's just insane and can be everywhere he needs to be. He can pop up in the right areas, and maybe half the time it doesn't work, but half the time it advances the ball forward, and then there's a scoring opportunity. So I'm not going to knock him for being active and trying to receive the ball to advance it, but obviously we'd prefer him to get on the end of things and be knocking them in. But
speaking of Lockie being active and everywhere, he's given away another pen.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see. I mean, he kind of got away with one against Perth. I thought that one was more across his body.
It was lucky that his arm was pretty much like planted against his body.
So where's it meant to go?
Yeah,
is kind of the idea. But against Newcastle,
this one can't really complain, even though it didn't look like much, and it's not going to go to an attacker because no one else was there. But
you kind of got
when it hits your hand and your hand's like
out,
that far out,
you can't do much about it.
Yeah,
I mean, if it happened to us, I would have said, yeah, that's a pen. On first viewing, because you got the sideline camera, and the Newcastle player's gone for the bicycle, and so you can understand how Lockie's just like, not wanting to fully put his head in there. So he's kind of got this awkward position where it's almost like he's going for a chest, but then because the player's there, it's thrown off his sort of perception of where it's going, and it's just hit his hand. I thought initially it hit his left hand, where his left hand was across his body, and it's like, where's he meant to put his hand?
Yeah.
But it actually did hit the right hand. So, yeah, I would say fair to award that pen. Mikkel Tadze stroked it away and, did the political motivated celebration for Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm sure the people in Ukraine love that.
Yeah, I'm sure they were watching the A-League at that time. And but to be fair,
war is bad. So.
Stop war, go Ukraine, etc. But we have seen as well, like those sorts of political celebrations in leagues across the world, not just in the A-League.
They usually wearing a yellow.
They usually wearing a yellow, or the player gets a fine. The ones that like stop the war in Palestine.
I think it's because I know there was a player in one of the leagues that he took his shirt off to show that like he's wearing a Ukraine flag underneath.
Yeah,
it's maybe because
it's current.
Well, no, he's pulled a shirt out of like
rather than
lifting his shirt up. But then I think there's a rule like that you can't have, I don't know, political stuff in there.
Yeah.
In your celebrations. So I don't know.
Maybe he'll get a letter like Harvey. Was it Harvey Elliott?
Oh yeah,
with the flair.
With the flair, yeah.
In the final, why not? No, we love it. That's what football's all about. Express yourself. It's the world game, and you need to accommodate the opinions of the world too.
Well, it's like didn't Graham Souness like he stabbed a flag like I don't know. He stabbed a flag in the middle of like Galatasaray's field as like the rival coach, and like I'm pretty sure the stadium just went ballistic.
Erupted.
Yeah,
I've not heard of that. I'll have to look that up.
Iconic moment. Look it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So it's 1-1 then, right? Newcastle versus MacArthur, and to be honest, we're on the back foot. Like Newcastle are putting together some silky football. We're struggling to sort of keep pace with them. They've just got this, balls to the wall attitude, attack all the time. Pena doing really great stuff in the midfield. Hard to stop a player of his caliber.
Silvera as well.
He had a good game.
He almost put the nail in the coffin right on
stroke of half time.
He just cuts outside the box, and just curls this one and hits the top left. Like, I don't know how it didn't go in, but
yeah, But the boys grafted, and
yeah.
I tell you what, after half time they came out a better side. We seem to find this every single time. The boys sort of lose their way in some way in the first half, and then they get yelled at half time. They come back out and they're all guns blazing, and that's what set up our second goal. We really did control it. We controlled it in a better way than we did in the first half for the first 15 or so minutes of the second, and it yielded dividends. Noon was able to get down the right-hand side, dribble to the byline, beat two fortuitously.
Torre's shot.
He laid it off to Torre, and
keeper saves it. And then, the Newcastle defence is scrambling, and then they just pop one out. And when the ball's in the air like that, and you see Tommy just standing there, it's over.
Mate,
it's going in.
You can't feed Tommy or defensive headers. When will opposition teams learn this? You just can't do it. He's too good. But I will say, when I was watching it, right, I was absolutely flabbergasted. I should be expecting it by now that he's going to rocket it into the net from 30 yards, but I'm just taken aback every time because the majesty of that strike, right? Clean as a whistle, clean as you like it. Slightly different to the one he hit against Central Coast.
What one do you think's better, the Newcastle or the Mariners?
Oh, geez. It's like asking, do you like apples or oranges? They're both fantastic fruits. But this one, right? This one is more power. The Central Coast one, he sort of massaged it into the net,
It's like asking if you like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul.
There's no comparison.
They're both so good.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the quality strikes, right? Just the power he hit this with, the timing of it all. Like, I thought Torre's strike was powerful, and it was a great save by Jack Duncan. But next level, Tommy Orr, and yeah, as I said, you cannot let him get in that range with the ball.
No.
Popping it out, bouncing, doesn't matter if it's coming down from out of space, he'll still hit it full venom, and the keeper's not stopping it, as we've seen.
Yeah, and I think the stat was he hadn't scored in 50 A-League appearances before his goal against the Mariners, and then he's just done it again.
Well, wasn't he deployed mostly as a winger?
Well, yeah.
In that time, so
but still, now he's playing centre mid, and now he's scored twice. So
yeah, exactly. So just park him in the middle and tell him hit it when it comes to you, mate. That's all you got to do, and it's working great for us. I mean, you might have seen the social media of the A-Leagues coming out with the goal of the month. 3 out of the 4 nominations are ours. The other one's Ben Garuccio's the Scorpion. So you got...
one? Have they not announced it yet?
They haven't announced it yet. But if they don't give it to us, like we are goal of the season FC, we're Worldy FC, it would not be right, even though it was a good good Scorpion kick from Garuccio. It's not... I mean, you compare it side by side with Riley McGree's one, and it's not the same.
No. I mean, it's like still spectacular what he's done, but he's 6 yards out. Like, I think either of the goals against the Mariners
surely should be.
I think Nunes is just...
Nunes probably a shoe-in.
Like, outside the foot on the volley, like left foot hitting it into the right corner, side netting. Like, come on.
Yeah, 0.03 expected goals from that particular chance. Like, yeah, you can't make that up. To equalise 3-3 as well, I think the moment also plays a bit of a role.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I think there's something really foul going on if we don't get the goal of the month given to one of our players.
Yeah, we deserve it. We want to see a photo of, Noon or Tommy holding whatever
little trophy
they have,
they really should get a show to hype this up. I know they've got a highlight show on Channel 10, but like there needs to be the same sort of attention paid to it that is paid to something like a Premier League or a Liga. They always have their weekly highlight shows. They do interviews with the players. There should be something like this, take it a bit more seriously, get more people interested and involved in it, because there is some quality football going on and people are missing it because they just don't know.
Like, that Noon goal, like, it made the rounds, like, on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, proper English football fans.
Proper.
We're loving that goal, Like,
they're like, is he in the A-League now? See, the fact that I didn't even know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tells the story.
I think, Channel 10 just needs to chuck a bit more money at it, because there's been some complaints about the coverage on Paramount Plus, which during the game there were a lot of blackouts. Like,
was there? I didn't get any, but
they cut to replays and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, look at that goal," and then the screen's just black, or they didn't have the score
properly.
Like, the scoreboard, wasn't on the screen, so it was just a blank screen with no like graphics on it.
They got the work experience kid in there, and he's just fucked it up.
Yeah,
which is a shame, because there's signs that it could be a really good partnership with this new broadcaster. They seem to have some flashy graphics. They have the right idea. They want to encourage it. It's not like Fox Sports were, where they were just letting it slowly decay and die. Yeah. But they need to sort it out.
Well, they either need to learn quickly, or they just need to get the right personnel in. Like, that's all it's down to.
100%.
Getting back to that Newcastle game, I think after we scored, so it's 2-1, where we were on the back foot at this point, and
we started to set off, didn't we?
Yeah. The XG says it all, really. Like, after that goal, we had a 0.53 XG. Newcastle had 1.82. So, like, the fact we were
knocking on the door.
Yeah, the fact we were leading 2-1 was quite lucky, in my opinion. And, as the game went on, Newcastle just kept doing what they do. They were just knocking around well. Their front four, very dangerous, very silky. They were able to get down either wing with ease and create chances. Kodo had to make a couple blinding saves. And then 2-2.
Yeah, they were causing us problems, and a bit of a scuffed header from Moody Najjar laid it on a plate for Pena to be able to whip the ball in, and Eli Babal, a dude that big, gliding through the air to get a header on it. As much as Mariappa is a great defender, he just didn't have the physicality to be able to match Babal, and it wasn't even a good header. Like, it was going wide, and I think it's hit Liam Rose, and then bounced in. But what can you do when you're letting him have all these opportunities, these chances? You're letting him get so much open space up in our part of the pitch. It's going to happen. We've ridden our luck a few times this season in terms of the XG and not conceding goals we probably should have, due to whether it's they've hit the post or they've missed a gilt-edged opportunity or Kurto's come up with a mad save. But
We really got to sort it out and be careful. And I think that's where someone like a Sluznia would have been really good. Obviously, we would have preferred to have Jake McGing there as well.
Yeah.
He was doing quite a good job. But, you cop this a little bit. And I think it was Ante Milicic after the match in the press conference. He sort of said, look, I'll take the point. It was a good back and forth match and both teams probably deserved a point. A draw was a fair result.
Yeah, I think we got lucky with getting a point out of that because Newcastle were, I think, the better side on the day and we were just able to keep them out. So
yeah, it's a bit hard to pick the team, I suppose, like with it being so chock full of fixtures. They've come off a Wednesday night trip to Launceston, whereas Newcastle had the whole week to prepare.
Yeah.
I think that's a good result. Like we said last week, if it's 4 points from the next 2 games, which is what they got, then that's a decent result. And we've stayed up there. We're now 3rd spot on the ladder. Taking a quick look at the ladder as well. So we've got Melbourne City, who we're going to face next Wednesday. They're on 29 points with 16 games played. So we've got a few games in hand on them. Western United on 29 points as well with 14 games played. And we're on 22 points after 13. And Adelaide, 21 points after 15. We also play Melbourne Victory, who are on 18 points after 12 games. So that's tomorrow night, Friday, right? If we can get a good result against them, who, they've not played for a couple of weeks. They were supposed to play against Brisbane and, with all the floods and stuff that's been going on up there, they were not able to play. And, since their FFA Cup win and their good early season form, they're sort of like league leaders for a bit. They've really fallen off. Their league form has really gone down the toilet. So I think this is a good opportunity for us, having basically a week of rest, Saturday to Friday. Go down there, do the business against Melbourne. It's not an easy place to go. Amy Park's a real difficult place to go. There's a fast pitch, and also the Melbourne Victory fans are probably the most active in the whole league. So it's going to be noisy. But we've done it before. We went there last season and got the 2-1 victory.
Yeah.
So, it can be done. And if we got that, we then look to Wednesday against Melbourne City. They've been faltering a little bit too. They are, yes, top of the table, but they've played like 3 more games than most other sides. And, they drew last night 2-2 with Perth Glory after being 2-0 up. So, they are a bit leaky. They've got the best attack in the league, but also the worst defense in the league. So, a high scoring one there if you're a betting man.
3.5 over that one.
Bet with Neds. Bet with your head not over it.
Bet with Bulls. We'll Banter bets.
Mate. But no, it's looking good. We're just chugging along through the season. We're sort of this, everyone's looking at Western United and what they're doing, 1-0ing every single team. We're looking at Melbourne City, scoring a lot, but maybe starting to fall off a bit. You got these other sort of dark horses like Adelaide and Melbourne Victory about there, and obviously Sydney are always a threat. But we're just sort of flying under the radar, picking up points, doing some flashy goals, but not really playing our best football yet. So I think if we're to make an assessment of the season, I think our best is still yet to come.
Yeah, I could see us go through another dip and then, reach even higher levels than we're at now. Because I think it's so easy for any side to go through that sour patch where, you're not playing the best football. Everything looks a bit lethargic. We've gotten through the first sort of dose of that. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if there's another 1 or 2 to come where, there's a string of 3 games where we're not winning or dropping points, that we should be getting. But yeah, definitely bright things ahead.
I mean, certainly at this stage of the season, we can't afford to do another 5-game winless run.
Oh, no.
100%. But there are a lot of games coming up, and it's the same situation that all teams are in. Sure, we had a bit of a longer layoff than most when the whole COVID thing happened again, but we should be able to go forward with a bit of confidence, knowing that, we've not been playing our best football, but we've been getting the results. In moments, we've turned on the brilliance, and if we can just keep that consistency going, then we should be looking definitely at a final spot, if not challenging for top. Some people have already started to write us off as not as top tier contenders, right? They've just looked at Melbourne City and Western United and said that's the 2-horse race, but they've just ignored us like we're being slept on. And so I think if we come out again, pick up 4 points in our next 2 games, and then we've got Wanderers at home, which we should be circling and looking at and underlining and saying that is a must win. That is something where we can really springboard our season even again after a big win over our sort of local rivals.
Yeah, because even though Wanderers aren't up there at the moment, it's still like it's the game you get up for, and winning a game like that with, you know, probably our most important like derby, you would say, other than maybe Sydney, but
it'll get the most people through the gates.
Definitely. If the boys can win that, like, be a huge spring in their step, which hopefully sees us get to that next level of football where we're doing what we did against Adelaide, just 90-minute demolitions against everyone.
And then, of course, we go to Mudgee against Central Coast, which, again, we'd be circling, saying we can win that one. Central Coast, for all their good play this season, they've looked solid. They've continued their form from last season, but they actually sit second from bottom. So, you know, a bit scary for them. And we can definitely pick up some points from them. So, a tough period ahead, but the boys, especially if they get a good result against, you know, a win against one of the Melbourne sides would be huge. And then they can set up the rest of their season like that. We'll get eventually our, you know, big hitters back in terms of especially Daniel De Silva.
Yeah.
Right. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He'll be back, you know, around late season, early finals time, which is a good time for him to be back. But you wouldn't expect him to be fully fit and firing either. Yeah. So it's a bit tricky.
Yeah. I hope they don't rush him back. But whether he can get to that level of form quickly enough again for a good finals push, then or a premiership push even.
Yeah. It's very disappointing because he was having probably his best season in the A-League. I mean, he was top of the assists. He was banging goals in. He was making it all happen.
Is he still, or is Noon?
I think Noon's pipped him, or it could even be Lecky or Barangay who has pipped him for Melbourne City. So, yeah, a bit tricky, a bit disappointing for him, but he can come back and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he popped up with a couple of assists or a goal before the end of the season again.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah. We're going to turn our attention now to some broader Australian football news. So we've got the AAFC, who've released their final report into a genuine second division of football in Australia. Very exciting news, especially if you've been around the traps for a long time. If you're an NSL biter, you remember that older league, and you might have been following the NPL 1 for a while, following those clubs. Well, the AAFC have finally put together this framework for how we're going to do second division. So, Daniel, do you want to take us through it?
Yes, I will right now. Got to find my notes on this because it's a bit heady here. So they select 12 existing teams from NPL clubs, no new expansion franchises, to make up a national second division, and then below that is then the NPL, and there's promotion and relegation between that, I believe.
So they've basically taken the A-League, bumped it, and then they're going to insert a middle league in between NPL and A-League.
Which I think was needed because, you know, something to fight for in the A-League now.
Well, yeah, I don't think there'll be relegation for a long, long time, but it gives those NPL clubs, especially the ones that are always outperforming their competitors, you know, your Wollongong Wolves, your Marconi Stallions, Sydney Olympic, Sydney United, right? That gives them something to go, oh, we're not just these semi-professionals, we're actually like a proper club. Yeah. RP, like I'm sure there's lots down in Melbourne as well. You think of like Olympic and Melbourne Knights who'd want to be in there.
And a lot of these clubs have obviously a huge history behind them. Obviously more than the Bulls.
Yeah, for sure. And they'd want to be represented in the football pyramid in a bit more of a respectful way rather than just winning their local NPL comps.
Yeah. So I think to start off with, so there's the 12 teams, and promotion and relegation will work as 2 teams go up and 1 team comes down until there's 16 teams.
So that's from NPL 1.
Yeah, so that's from NPL 1 into the National Second Division. So I don't think it affects
nothing with the A-League.
Yet. I'm not sure if they're even connected to the A-League. But
so in 2028, they'll have 16 teams after starting with the initial 12.
Yeah.
And just a bit of background on this, they've had to do like financial statements. They've had to look seriously into these clubs to make sure they got good youth systems. Like they want this to be sustainable. Obviously, there's not going to be huge crowds for national second division. There's not even huge crowds for the A-League. But if you let it nurture, you let it go, you get the football culture going, these clubs have got a rich history they can call on. I see this as being an absolute win for Australian football. So 16 teams by 2028.
And then I think after that they'll branch off from there, and it's good that they have this it's sort of like a 10-year plan in place.
It's good to actually see they've got a plan,
not just
we'd like to
winging it. I'm thinking 2 years ahead. They've supposedly thought long term, and I'd like to see it work.
And you can see that definitely is the influence of James Johnson, the FA CEO. But what do you think? Like, do you think it's better to have that national second division as a truly national comp, or would you have preferred something like a 2 conferences system? Because that was also bandied about a little bit. You got your West Coast or Western North versus Southeast sort of conference system, like the NFL might have done.
Yeah, but then I feel like you get like Americanized with that sort of thing, because it can maybe work, but then like why split it up when you can have like the best, like ideally half of the teams from each just in the one comp? Like depends whether you want to have, because there's some teams that aren't going to be placed in that the second division straight off the bat. So.
Like there's Swansea from Perth. Are they going to be someone who's going to be able to compete with Marconi or Sydney Olympic on a week-to-week basis? We don't know necessarily the strengths of the different NPLs. From what I've heard, NPL Victoria and NPL New South Wales are the top comps, and then everything sort of feeds through there. Queensland have also got a good comp, but outside of that, I'm not hearing a whole lot of rumblings. You don't hear a whole lot of players who've come through those systems and go into A-League or go overseas. It's very haphazard and stretched out at the moment. So I guess we'll actually get a good understanding then with that National Second Division, where the actual best development leagues are, and then those teams will be coming through. But what you wouldn't like to see, I mean, maybe we'd like to see it because we love local football, but what you wouldn't like to see is a National Second Division dominated just by Victorian and New South Wales teams. However, you'd have to imagine that it somewhat would be just due to population.
Yeah, and all the best players are going to be attracted to those areas because that's where all the teams are.
Yeah.
So, but you might have, like you said, a team from Western Australia or wherever can pop up and
do the business.
And
you know what it would do too? It'd have organic rivalries, right? So obviously NSL has that history. You've got those older clubs bringing in their own rivalries, usually on the ethnic basis, because those were all ethnic clubs, right? All mostly done in the 60s or 40s, whatever. But you've also got this idea of these second division clubs who actually can show the A-League clubs eventually, and I'm sure this is where it's going, after having it be there for 10 years even, and we're talking, way in the future, of course, and of course we'll still be football fans and watching it very closely then. But when we got that promotion and relegation, it actually brings in such a more excitement. You've got teams who've been made to play in NPL 1 for so long who are looking at these professional sides, but they're saying, you're just a franchise, you're not real football in Australia. So it actually gives them a chance to put their money where their mouth is, to actually go up there and compete properly. We get a glimpse of it in the FFA Cup, the Australia Cup is what it's called now. Every now and then we get that little glimpse of they took Sydney FC all the way, or Central Coast were eliminated by Brently Greens or whatever, right? But we don't get that week to week. So it would just be really interesting to see the older NPL clubs competing with the newer A-League clubs and seeing who's actually got it.
Yeah, going to be a good thing for football, and then if that's successful by 2030, hopefully they can then start looking at introducing it into the A-League if these teams are flourishing, like, because you can't just think about the level of football they're playing. They need to be sustainably run clubs, because you don't want clubs to, fail and fold.
Absolutely. They need to be backed well. And, for this initial National Second Division, the 12 clubs that are going to be chosen, I don't think it's actually settled on yet who it's going to be, but they all have to put up money. I'm pretty sure it's a $200,000 buy-in initially to make the new National Second Division happen. And then, of course, they got to pay their players. They got to run their stadiums, etc. The nice part is most of these clubs already have their own stadia, so they can sort of build on that as time goes on. They're not having to go pay a council or rely on a council to cut the grass and then melt the grass and then tell them that they can't play there anymore.
A lot of the stadiums they play at are probably some of the best,
nicest boutique stadiums.
Sydney. So
it'll be great. I can't wait for it. I know I'll be an old man by then, but I can't wait for National Second Division promotion and relegation. Even fingers crossed it never happens, but one day if the Bulls get relegated, I'll be crying, but I'll also be kind of happy the next year, be able to play
away days in Sydney.
Away days against different teams. It'll just be great. Just get all the football into me that I can. We also have to talk about our Northbridge Bulls, right? Mile Stajovski has recruited a nice side. We've got some familiar faces. You might have seen them in the FFA Cup. We've got Lachlan Sepping, Diego Bonilla, and Rory Jordan, right, as the main sort of three. But our old mate, Brodie Clarkson, strapping on the boots again for the Northbridge Bulls. I think he's going to be playing centre-back this year, so hopefully he gets a solid run. I know he got injured late last season, which really derailed him because he was starting to hit some form. But, again, the same project we're seeing from last season is get the young guys in there, establish them, get them playing against men, teach them the way to play as part of the MacArthur Bulls, and then they'll get their opportunity, and hopefully we can pull some more up. I know that some of our younger players in what we consider the Bulls squad will also drop into the NPL makeup every now and then. Like you'll see Rusey probably get more minutes in the NPL, Jake Holman, etc. Right? Nick Suman will be playing in goals a fair bit as well. So it's so good to be able to develop these young players who will be the stars of tomorrow.
Yeah, getting them regular football as well. It'll help those guys that are on the fringe of the squad. Like we saw last year, Rusey was banging them in, Holman was banging them in, and then able to carry that form, that hot streak they were on, into the A-League. And, obviously, we're, fingers crossed, hopefully going to be on a titles push this year. So it won't be like... We probably won't have the luxury to bring some of the younger guys into the fold like we were able to with the cup earlier in the season, where Sepping was able to get some minutes in him.
Yeah. Jack McLaughlin was on the bench against Newcastle. So
really?
Yeah, he's been pulled up. I think Ante seems to like him.
He was pretty good against Sydney in the cup game.
And he's the kind of player, honestly, we need. Like as a noon replacement, he's an attacking right-sided player. Like he fits into that mold so well. So
just craft him into a wing back.
Apparently, I heard Daniel Georgievski talking about how we've apparently signed someone, although there was no names given, about either a left back or a right back, which we are struggling for depth in both those positions. So, keep your eyes peeled for that. You heard it here second, if you heard it from Daniel Georgievski first.
I didn't even know we could keep signing people, but
I didn't know that Daniel Georgievski could, get a sentence together that's cohesive, that I could understand. But, I was amazed. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Also, keep your eyes peeled for some more of the Northbridge Bulls games coming up in the season. I'm pretty sure some of the Bullpen lads are going to get out to that one and support the young guys. Let them know that we, are looking forward to them coming through. But they're up against the Sydney FC youth team on Sunday. So, a little bit of a derby, if you don't mind it. But, we'll try and bring you some content from the NPL as well. And we know you guys froth the NPL, so we might get out there and do some stuff with that.
Yeah. Hopefully because I swear last year they were meant to play some games before the Bulls games, but they never
didn't happen.
I'd prefer them to do that, because then
that'd be so good. You get to see the stars of tomorrow.
Yeah, you get way more eyes on them as well. Because if people realise, the youth team's playing before the Bulls, they'll rock up to the stadium early, and even if they don't catch the full game, they might catch the second half. It's just builds up that support for the club, that community, when you realise,
the youthies are
this bloke, I remember seeing him play here.
Yeah, he scored a 90th minute winner against this other team.
Yeah, and then
before
now,
the Bulls
now he's
played.
playing for the Bulls. Yeah, he's on the bench for the Bulls.
Yeah, you get that sense of connection with the players, and also it's just good for the players' confidence to actually play in a proper stadium in front of a few people. Like, I know NPL gets a bit of a crowd sometimes depending on the match, but it's different. You're getting to actually be in an A-League stadium, getting to be around all, the match officials, the MacArthur Bulls doing their warm-ups and stuff, talking to them in the sheds at halftime. It's all this sort of stuff.
And it prepares them for, ideally their future in the A-League. It preps them for how a match day runs, and, the abuse you get from the crowd and everything.
Gets them used to the situations, and yeah, it would actually make the product feel something that it's meant to be aimed towards. Right now it's just the A-League. They come, they play, they go. If you ask most A-League players what their dream is, and it's not to play in the A-League forever, unfortunately. I mean, we talked to Michael Roos. He wants to go over to Europe eventually. I don't blame him. I'm sure Charles has the same ambitions, right? But we need to make Australian football more appealing. We need to have these players who are sticking around for their whole careers, right? Like Daniel Da Silva probably has the ability, in fact, did have the ability to go over to Europe. I'm sure he spent some time at AS Roma as a youth. We also had Chris Economides go over to Lazio and play there for a bit and then come back to Melbourne Victory, right? And Perth Glory, of course. So, there are these players who have that quality. We need them to be these career players in the league to just build the quality, keep it going, make it something that can be aspired towards.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep our talent here. We'd rather be able to see them. Of course, we want the top of the top to be able to go overseas and boss, the Premier League or whatever. But we got to keep the talent here to keep the talent coming through.
Yeah, you see it time and time again where someone will leave too early and then they just don't take that next step that they need, like Arzani, for example.
Yeah. Even arguably Rogic, even though he's playing quite well for Celtic now, but it took him a long time to work himself into that first team.
How old was he when he left Australia?
He was in early 20s.
Early 20s. Now he's probably almost 30 or something.
Yeah, but keep your eyes peeled. Like Riley McGree, he's gone over. He did a great stint on loan for Birmingham last season. They wanted to sign him. He was meant to go to Charlotte, who had bought him from Melbourne City. It's all very technical and in the weeds of it. But Birmingham wanted him, and then Middlesbrough came in with a bigger offer. He's tied Zelko Kalac for the most expensive player ever bought from Australia. And he's actually playing quite well. He laid off a pre-assist the other day in a game.
Against Spurs, was it?
Nah, not against Spurs.
No.
I don't think he was on the team sheet for that one, but he's playing quite well and he's valued highly over there. I could see him, especially if Middlesbrough keep playing the way they're playing, they might get promoted. See him be a Premier League starter would be magic, right? He's going to be our linchpin in the Socceroos for years to come, hopefully alongside Denis Genro, who's also killing it, as we talked about. Great players coming up, great players being produced by the A-League, but it just needs to be sustained in this way. It's not made right as it is right now. It's not made to endear players to stay. It's more, I start here, I'll go overseas, and I'll come back here to finish my career.
Yeah.
Like Matt Leckie, for instance, has done that. Robbie Cruz did that.
Yeah.
So we want to see more than that. We want to see players that stick to the league.
Depends how you want the league to be set up. Like whether you want to gear it towards, making sure Australia's footballing future, we can regularly make World Cups rather than fighting until the death for it.
Well, we're doing that now, aren't we?
No. But if you set the league up so that it's prioritizing getting elevating youths and then getting them into the European countries where they can then develop, or whether you want them to creating a product that makes them want to stay a little longer, and then maybe when they leave they're twice the player.
Yeah, because you see the boomerang effect of players leaving when they're too young and they have to come back. They have to get minutes here. I mean, there are a dime a dozen players like Lachlan Brook, There was a Glory player. What was his name? Jake Brimmer went over early and then came back. Now he's playing well for Victory. So like the Popovich brothers as well. They've all done it. And you're more likely to see a player like an Arzani than you are to see a McGree, who actually goes over and does succeed, or a Moy, right? And the thing is, they don't go over till they're like 23, 22, 24 in that age range, because they've actually got, you know, a good 50 to 100 matches under their belt in the A-League.
Like, even, I just looked up now, Cam Devlin going to Hearts.
Yeah.
Like, he's 23.
Yeah.
Like, he's not 18.
But he's got that experience already. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
He's at the heart of the midfield there for Phoenix for years. And now he feels he's confident enough to go ahead with it. Same with Nathaniel Atkinson. I have no doubt those guys are going to do well. But it's when they're like a hotshot 19-year-old and they just bounce back, you know.
Yeah.
And then their career's over.
Who's the guy that was at Mariners last season?
Qual?
Striker. Yeah. I think he's doing all right.
Yeah, he looks like the outlier because he's just next level talent.
Yeah.
We'll see how he goes. I mean, he's in the
second Bundesliga or something.
He's at Stuttgart, and then I think he got loaned out to the third Bundesliga, like the regional Liga. But I think he's killing it there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So yeah, plenty to ponder about Australian football. We've gone for ages about this, but I think it's time we wrapped it up. Yep. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Hopefully the Bulls can get another win tomorrow night against Victory at Amy Park. I'm just going to say we're going to win 2-1 because I don't think we can keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, I rate that. That's a good score. 2-1. Yeah. And we'll score off a corner again, right? So thank you guys for watching Bull Banter or listening to it wherever you get your good podcasts. Remember to follow us on Instagram, give us a like on Facebook, share us to your friends through YouTube and Spotify. And as I said, wherever good podcasts are found. Go you Bulls, and we'll catch you next time.
What remarkable story!